Hi everyone, my name is Neil Huja, and in this video, I'll be covering details of all the major research competitions that you can participate in as a high schooler, including ISEF, JSHS, and Regeneron STS, including their benefits, drawbacks, and some special tips to help you succeed. I will also be going over some smaller, less well-known competitions that I still think are worth your time. The reason I'm making this video is that I know so many people complete research projects in high school, but simply aren't aware of all the opportunities that are out there to compete in research competitions. I personally loved competing in science fairs throughout my past 3 years as a research student, and I want to make sure everyone watching this video has the chance to do the same. I also want to preface by saying I haven't actually competed in every single one of the competitions that I'm going to be mentioning in this video. So if you have competed in one of them and you think that I've missed out on something, be sure to comment it down below and share it with the rest of us. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so the first competition I want to talk about is the International Science and Engineering Fair, otherwise known as ISEF, which is the largest and most prestigious science competition for high schoolers. The way ISEF works is that thousands of kids across the world compete in their regional fair. For me and anyone else living in northern New Jersey, this would be TNJSF, but I will leave a link in the description below to the ISEF website so you can determine your regional or country fair. The judges at your regional fair will determine the best projects across all categories, and those projects will receive an all-expense-paid trip to ISEF. The number of projects that qualify for ISEF varies region to region, but at my regional fair, 6 qualify from around the 300 that compete. Because of this very low regional qualification rate at ISEF itself, the projects are very, very good. And ISEF is around a week long and usually has around 2,000 people competing. And although you will only be presenting for 1 day out of this week, I warn that it will be a very strenuous day, 10 hours of your life. However, on the other days, you get quite a bit of freedom to explore the city and that you're in. And so in this past year, when I was in LA, it was a lot of fun to do a lot of the different activities. So we went to like Universal and rode roller coasters and whatnot. So that was really fun. ISEF is also good because the number of winners is actually in each category is proportional to the number of people in that category. They do this by ensuring that in any single category, there can be more than one first, second, third, and fourth place winner. I would highly recommend competing in your regional fair and really putting an effort to qualify for ISEF because it has a huge prize pool of more than $9 million, and you get to connect with so many smart and interesting people from around the world. The next competition that I would highly recommend competing in is Regeneron Science Talent Search, otherwise known as Regeneron STS, which is only for seniors in the US. This competition works a lot like a college application. You submit a research paper along with various supplemental essays, standardized test scores, and recommendations. More than 2,000 people apply, and Regeneron selects 300 finalists. From the past years, I've noticed they've recently had a preference toward biomedical and comp sci projects, but that's probably just because there are more people taking on those types of projects. Then from the 300 finalists that they then select 40 of the best ones and invite them to present at Regeneron STS Finals Week, where they rank the top 10. The top 300 finalists receive $2,000, the top 40 finalists receive $25,000, and the top 10 receive at least $40,000, with first place winning $250,000. I would highly recommend competing in STS because you have a great chance to meet incredibly smart individuals that you will likely be seeing again in college, as well as the fact that, of course, you can win these huge scholarships for college. The next competition that I highly recommend competing in is the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium, otherwise known as JSHS, which is only available to US citizens. Like ISEF, to qualify to the national competition, you have to first qualify from your regional fair. There are 2 different types of competing that you can do. There's the poster session and there's the oral session, where you submit a paper and a presentation. Oral is more competitive, but you also have a chance to win much larger scholarships, while poster is usually less competitive with smaller cash prizes. The way each regional is operated is slightly different. With some, the top 2 winners become oral presenters at the national competition, and the next 3 become poster presenters. At others, you sign up as either an oral or poster presenter. I'm a big advocate of doing oral presentations if you have the choice, just because you win more money. And then also at regional competition, first place oral presentation receives $2,000, second place receives $1,500, and third place receives $1,000. And at the national level for oral, first receives $12,000, second receives $8,000, and third place receives $4,000. And I think for poster, first place is $500, but I'm not completely sure after that. Also, be wary of the fact that at the national competition, it is notorious for sorting people into categories, like different projects, into categories very poorly. So it is common to get switched from your category of choice to a slightly different category. So be sure to, with that said, be sure to very strategically pick your category, because unlike ISEF, the number of winners is not proportional to the number of projects in the category. So some categories are far more competitive than others. It is also helpful to know that this competition is run by the US military. So in your presentations, you should try to include some sort of military applications. This competition is definitely less well known than the previous two that I've mentioned, but if you are eligible, I would still highly recommend competing. The next competition is Toshiba Explorer Vision, which is for US and Canadian residents. This one is kind of unique, where you don't submit a research project that you have done, but rather an idea for a solution to an existing problem with a small prototype if you advance to the national level, but you do not need an exact implementation for your idea. Similar to some of the other competitions, you must first win from your region and then you compete on a national level. The first place winner receives $10,000 and the second place winner receives $5,000. From this past year, all people who won the regional, I believe, won a Chromebook as well. You also have to do some unique things like creating a website for your solution as well as recording a video, so just be wary of that. I like this competition because it forces you to brainstorm interesting solutions, which you can then turn into an actual research project later down the road. Another competition/scholarship that I would recommend is the Davidson Fellows Scholarship. This one is only for US residents, and you must receive 2 nominations from non-family members. There is no actual physical competition for this scholarship, but you must submit a paper and a chance to win up to $50,000 with submitting that paper. Another challenge that I like is the BioGenius Challenge, which is only available to US and Canadian residents. Similar to other competitions, you must first compete at your regional competition, which may be in person or virtual depending on the state you live in. You must present your research, which has to fall in the realm of biology, which is very broad, but you can't really have pure comp sci or engineering projects. The competition gives some very good prize money, with the top winners at the regional fairs receiving $1,000. And all regional winners are invited to a national competition in New York City, where you can potentially win even more money. This competition is very good if you are doing biomedical research or biotechnology research, but can be extended to things like plant science and marine biology as well. One more competition that I would recommend is the National STEM Challenge, which is for middle and high schoolers in the US. It is fairly new but shows a lot of promise, and the way it works is that you create a short 3-page PDF presentation about your research project, and then based on that, challenge finalists will be selected. In the second round, you submit a video, and the top 200 based on that will be considered national champions and win a trip to the National STEM Festival in Washington, D.C. This is a great opportunity to meet other super smart kids from around the country, and being a numeric competition is not as competitive, but keep in mind that the due date is in early November, which is fairly early compared to other competitions. The next competition that I think is an interesting opportunity is MIT Think. Similar to Explorer Vision, instead of submitting a completed research project, you submit an idea for a research project. This competition is highly competitive, but if you are selected as a finalist, you will receive some guidance from MIT students and professors to carry out your research project, as well as $1,000 in funding. You are also invited to an all-expense 4-day tour of MIT campus. I would personally not recommend this competition as much as the previous ones that I've mentioned, simply because it is very competitive and very demanding in terms of the requirements for submitting, so just be aware of that before attempting it. Another competition which is available but I wouldn't necessarily recommend is Genius Olympiad, which is an international competition. The way this one works is that you submit a project following one of the following categories listed here. Then almost all submissions are invited to a competition held at the Rochester Institute of Technology, otherwise known as RIT. But the catch is that you have to pay for everything. So unlike most of the other programs that I've mentioned, where you get an all-expense paid trip, you actually have to pay for everything for this competition yourself. This, coupled with the fact that there are not really any awards if you win, make this competition a lot less prestigious than the others that I have mentioned, and makes me think that it is a lot more work than it's worth. But if you want the experience of competing in science competitions and meeting people from around the world, and you can't afford it, I would highly recommend giving it a shot as well. Okay, so now I'll be covering some field-specific competitions, meaning you can only participate if your field has your project has a fairly narrow range of focus in a very particular scientific area. The first one of these is the Stockholm Junior Water Prize, which is an international competition where your project has to deal with water in some capacity. This can be looking at different methods to remove contaminants from water, protecting sea life, or anything in between. The way the competition works is that you submit a research project, and then from each state, they select one project as the state winner. The state winner is then invited to Boulder, Colorado at the national competition to compete against all the other state winners for the national nomination. This happens in every country, and all national winners are then invited to Stockholm, Sweden during World Water Week to compete to be the international winner, who wins $15,000 and gets to meet the King of Sweden, which is a super cool opportunity. Another field-specific competition is the AAN Neuroscience Research Prize, which is for high schoolers in the US. To participate in this competition, your project must center around the brain and nervous system. For this one, you submit a research paper, and then they select 4 winners, each of which receive $1,000. Again, I would highly recommend this one if you are eligible to apply. The last field-specific competition that I'll be mentioning in this video is the National High School Data Science Competition. For this one, you have to apply with a research study that you have already completed, but it is less prestigious than the other competitions that I've mentioned. It is specific to the field of data science, so only apply if you did some study in the field of computer science or something related. The prizes are less good than the other competitions because you don't receive cash prizes or scholarships, but if you do win, you win an enrollment in the Veritas AI Scholars Program, which is a great for learning new skills if that's your goal, but if not, you're better off just sticking to the traditional competitions. Now I'll be moving on to competitions local to New Jersey, where I live, but even if you don't live in New Jersey, watching this may be beneficial for you, as you might be familiar. There might be some similar ones in your area. The first one of these is New Jersey State Science Day, otherwise known as NJSSD, where you enter with a project idea, which has recently been focused on the field of environmental science with a particular emphasis on supporting low-income and rural communities. Recent topics have been water quality and air quality. For this competition, you submit your research idea, and then county winners will be selected based on the project that you submit, as well as a state winner. All winners are then invited to this super cool award ceremony, which is hosted by Merck, and is a great opportunity to meet other smart kids from around New Jersey. You don't actually win any prize money, but it is a great experience and is not much work to compete in, so I would highly recommend doing it. Another competition local to New Jersey is the New Jersey Academy of Sciences competition, otherwise known as NJAS. This is a poster competition similar to your local ISEF fair, but can be even more competitive because they do not separate into North and South Jersey. It is fairly easy to qualify from this competition to the National American Academy of Sciences competition, but similar to Genius Olympiad, you have to pay for your entire trip. So for that reason, I wouldn't recommend it as much as the other competitions. However, I do still think it's a great experience for learning how science fairs work, and gaining additional skills at this regional competition will help you at future science fairs. My last piece of advice for this video is that while some competitions are no longer running, but may still pop up in lists when you try to search for these research competitions. These would be, of course, the Google Science Fair, which ran until 2019, and Clean Tech Competition, which is now only available for undergraduates. So do not go under any rabbit holes trying to figure out how to compete in these competitions because they are no longer active.
I hope everyone watching this video realized all the different competitions and opportunities that are available for high schoolers doing research to participate in. For me personally, doing research competitions was a great way to meet individuals that, I'm not exaggerating when I say this, have completely shifted my perspective when it comes to doing research. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that I have been blessed with over the past 3 years by doing research competitions, and I hope that everyone watching this video has the chance to experience them as well. With that said, do not get demotivated if you are participating in these competitions and are really not seeing those results that you really want. It is all a part of the learning process, and I promise you, if you keep trying, better things are to come. Leave a comment down below if there are any other videos about high school research that you are interested in seeing. I'll be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.